Radeon Adrenalin 2019 broke my machine. Now that does sound a bit of an antithesis and a bit of a sort of catchy title, but it's not a lie. I have had major problems with my computer of late, so I'm going to go sort of dial it back a bit and sort of go from the beginning. About a month ago, 3 weeks to a month ago, I actually received my brand new monitor, which I did actually do a bit of a live stream about. It's a 27-inch, I think it is, Acer 1440p monitor. You know, if you're curious, I can probably dig out the code for it somewhere. It was, you know, it's been a fantastic monitor. Really has improved things because I was on a 16 to 24 1080p monitor before, so I moved to 1440p, moved to IPS, now up to 144 Hz refresh. It's been fantastic, but ever since that monitor, it's been update season for my computer, for the BIOS, for Windows, and for Radeon software. So this is the thing, is that I updated the BIOS, and then it was fine for a week. I think I had one blue screen or something, and then you had the Radeon updates. So Radeon 2019, so that was 18.12.2, because I'm on videocards.com at the moment to actually get the version numbers. So I installed the original 2019 release, and there were a few blue screens, and then upgraded to 2019, the later version, so that we're moving from 18.12.2 to 18.12.3, which is the beta version. And I sort of thought the beta version would fix some things that were wrong in the WHQL version, which randomly Steam stopped working. Now, the reason I suspect it wasn't entirely AMD's fault was because in between the original release and the 12.3 installation I did, Windows decided it also had updates to do, and one of them was a quite large feature update as well. So it could be that Windows has caused this problem. Anyway, it got to a point, I guess I'd have said really within the last 2 to 3 days. So while I've been at home, able to game a lot and able to do a lot of stuff because I've been off work. So what's been happening is I've been getting some random flickering on both monitors, but mostly my new one, which runs off DisplayPort. There's been some random blue screens, and in some instances it's actually blue screen and then reboot and then blue screen on the reboot, which was something I've never actually seen before, with the exception of RAM problems, which I thought was a bit weird. I've had game hangs. Overwatch in particular has been quite a large problem. I've had quite a few problems with game hanging. And the client as well did that as well. And the other one was a random app crashes, so Chrome would crash. If I was in Word, sometimes Word would crash. But it wouldn't be a consistent thing. Like the blue screens, it wouldn't all be the same code. It wouldn't be all the same problem. It'll be, one thing will be this stack overflowed something, this sub-process crashed unexpectedly, and it'd be everything random. And it could literally just, you know, several different websites has several different things. Some said it was memory, some said it was chipset drivers, some said it was graphics drivers, some said it was new hardware, some said it was even the keyboard or mouse. And I'm just like, but none of this makes sense because nothing has, aside from the monitor, nothing has changed in my hardware setup for months. So I was just a bit sort of like having a head scratch and sort of doing this and sort of working out what to do and all this sort of stuff. And I sort of went, well, let's rewind a bit and go back to basics. The latest thing I've done is install the graphics driver. The graphics driver is probably going to be the newest thing. I'll wind it back to the previous version. So we're going back from 12.3 to 12.2. That kind of fixed some of the issues. So maybe 12.3 was a bit more buggier on my hardware than 12.2. But I'd still get the odd thing, and I was just like, well, that's not really right. So I used the AMD Clean Driver utility, by the way, while I was doing this. So I knew it was a clean driver installed. It wasn't just uninstall one, install the other. It was literally rebooted into safe mode, wipe everything to do with the AMD drivers, reboot the computer and install the new version, and then reboot it again to make sure that was working. So I went back to 12.2. I was still getting issues. Windows still had a few. Windows then decided it pulled down another couple of updates or something for AMD hardware, which I thought was a bit odd, but never mind. And we, continued on, still having the blue screens, still having these issues. Sometimes it would be as much as one every half hour. Sometimes you turn it on, not have an issue at all. It was really random, really spiky. Sometimes it'd be mid-game and it'd go. Sometimes Sometimes the computer would be doing absolutely nothing. Literally, you might have Steam running in the background and it'd crash. It was really random, couldn't pinpoint much at all. So then today, I've done a clean uninstall of the 18.12.2 driver, the WHQL version. Completely uninstalled it using the clean driver utility. So it rebooted and safe mode, uninstalled it, and I've rebooted it. Went to Windows Update, ran updates, and it pulled down 3 updates for AMD hardware, which are to do with my Vega graphics card. So it sort of went, alright, install this. So I installed those, and this monitor, which is what the webcam's resting on, which is my original 1080p monitor, that wasn't working without the driver. So that came back on. I was just like, well, that's a good sign. The other 2 things installed, and sound started coming out from the other one. So it means the sound hardware's got drivers been installed. So sound was going over DisplayPort cable. So that seemed to go fine, and that sort of stuff. And I've played Overwatch, I think, since done that, and that hasn't crashed at all. Chrome hasn't crashed at all as well, which is a good thing. So in the end of it, the only thing which is universal between all these problems was Radeon Adrenalin 2019. And I'm not saying it's entirely AMD's problem, but 2019 has been admittedly Microsoft might not have been aware of it, but Microsoft updates combined with the Radeon Adrenalin 2019 release may have caused this together. It might just, I'm saying it's more AMD's problem. I mean, I'm not an AMD fan in particular, but I do prefer AMD hardware because you get more cost per performance. It's just when I bought a Vega 56 brand new for £185, I can't grumble at that. Once you include like the 20% off from Amazon and that sort of stuff. So from my perspective, I've been an AMD fan for performance per dollar, and they've generally been a bit of the underdog. You've got to admire the underdog, and that sort of stuff. But on this instance, AMD really has dropped the ball, and there is no other aspect that has caused this problem except for the AMD drivers. So I'm just like, well, that's been the problem. And I mean, some of the stuff I've done to try and fix this problem. I even got to the point where I took the side off my actual computer case and reseated the RAM into the next slot. So I think it was like A2 and B2. I changed it to A1 and B1. And that seemed to fix things, but then they just started reoccurring again once I'd done a couple of reboots. So I knew it wasn't that. And, it literally stuff that's been suggested. I mean, some of it even pointed down to SSD issues. And I'm just like, really? So I even ran the SSD wizards. I mean, I've got a Samsung NVMe, and I think it's a SanDisk. The SanDisk utility actually wanted an update from 1 point something to 2.30. It almost doubled the version number. So it's just like, that's how little I used it. And to be honest, aside from the actual client needing updating, all my SSD monitoring software sort of said, actually, you're on the latest firmware. Your drive's healthy. You've used about 2% of your lifespan. Fantastic. So I knew it wasn't the SSDs causing problems. So it's just been, have I done this? Have I done that? Have I done that? Have I done this? Is that causing it? And it's just like so much of a headache. And in the end, it all boils down to Radeon Adrenalin 2019 being faulty. So there you have it, essentially. Don't use 2019. It's broken. End of video.